Hello folks, here's Paradise, this is Al Talk, and in this video we are going to cover conditional type 2. But before that, let me give you a very short description on what is Al Talk and what do we do exactly in here. So Al Talk is not a normal English channel. In here, we are going to learn how to learn English in a more comfortable and fun way, in a way that you really enjoy the process, and yet you learn a lot in an efficient way, in a way that you really use them in your daily speaking. And when you want to say that you know English, you really mean it. It's not like the textbook, the material that you just memorize them and you really don't find them very useful. They are worthy. You learn something, but do you really use it? Does it really help you with your confidence in English? Does it really help you be better and more comfortable in your English skin? I doubt. So, all the materials in the Owl Talk, all the materials that we cover through this channel, they are the most efficient things that will definitely help you with be more confident and fluent in English. So in this playlist, we are covering the most important grammars in English and trying to have an ultimate guide on them and cover some tips and tricks on them and see what are they exactly about and what is the big picture on them. In the previous two videos, we already covered conditional type 0 and conditional type 1. And we saw that what are the types of them and what are the conditions in which we use each and every one of them. So in this video, we are going to cover conditional type 2. But what is type 2 exactly? Most of my students, they have this problem that they think that conditional type 2 and 3, they are the same. So if you have the same problem, just in case, pay attention to this video and see what is exactly the cases and what is the conditions and what is the formula in which we use conditional type 2. So in the next video, I am going to cover type 3, and so you analyze it to see what are the differences and what are the things that distinct them from each other. So let's have a deep dive in the formula of conditional type 2. Like any other conditional, we have a cause, we have an effect. Conditional, it's conditioned, okay? So if something happens, the other part will happen as a result. Like any other conditional, there are two parts to this type. The first part, or the one part, let's put it this way, because I told you in the previous videos that you can put it in the second part and put this one in the first. There's no difference, but keep that in mind. If you put the if, the next, you don't have the comma. But if the if comes first, we have the comma. So if plus past participle. Remember, in the previous two videos, conditional type 0 and type 1, both of them were if plus simple present. But this one is past simple. So, number one, this would be the first difference between this one and the previous two. Would plus base form. Number one, conditional type 1 was will, if you can remember well. So this one is would plus base form. But again, would is another modal. After modals, including will or would, we have the base form of the verb. Simple form of the verb. So this is the formula of conditional type 2. But when we cover it in this part, it will gonna make sense more to you. So what are the conditions? What are the times, the situations in which we use conditional type 2 and not, for example, conditional type 1, and not conditional type 0, and not conditional type 3? What are they? Let's cover them. These are the three main situations, conditions, in which we use type 2. Number one is to talk about hypothetical or unreal situations. So, this is an imaginary situation. This is something that I have in mind, and it's not real, it's a fantasy. The previous two ones, the first one, conditional type 0, was about facts, was about general truth. And the next one, conditional type 1, it was about the things that they were probable, they were likely, they were possible to happen. But this one, it's saying that, it's not real. It's hypothetical. It's fantasy. It's your dream. So, this is the first situation in which we use conditional type 2. The second situation, to give advice, often with if I were you. It means that if I was in your position, if I was in your shoes, if I was in the situation that you are right now exactly, I would do this. Again, it's hypothetical. I am not in your situation and I am not the one who is responsible for this situation and the decision to make. But if I were you, again, this is a hypothetical. This is unreal. I'm not in your shoes, but I'm saying if I were. You see, there are some overlaps between these two. Again, number three, to describe impossible or very unlikely situations. Remember, conditional type 1, we said likely or possible situation. But in here, we have impossible or very unlikely situation. It means it's very it's very unlikely to happen. It's very close to not happen. Okay, so let's go for covering some examples to see these conditions and this formula in the context again. You see, in the previous videos and in this video, I am emphasizing on learning the grammar, actually learning anything in the language, the language context, in the context, in the examples. It doesn't matter how many times you try to memorize these things. It doesn't matter how many times you try to memorize the formula. It doesn't work unless you use them in the context. You use them in the actual sentences. The more sentences together, the better you understand the context. Because when I'm trying, for example, when I say one sentence, it can has a meaning. But when I have two sentences, three sentences, they're somehow connected. And this connection will definitely help me to have a better understanding and deeper understanding of the situation, of the condition, of the story. Okay? So, if I were a superhero, am I a superhero? For God's sake, I am not. So it's a hypothetical. You see, it's my imagination, it's my fantasy. If I were a superhero, I would fly. If I had $1,000,000, I would buy a mansion. So you can understand that if the first part is hypothetical, then the second part is definitely hypothetical. Okay, so the first part, the cause, that the thing that is in here, the first part, it's saying that I'm not real. It's shouting that out. I'm not real. So how do you expect the second part to be real? So both of them, they are imaginary. If she lived in Paris, she would speak French fluently. I highly doubt it, but anyway, you see the point. If it were sunny, we would go to the beach. You see, if it were sunny, it's not, or it's very unlikely to happen. If I were a bird, I would fly across the world. am I a bird? No, I'm not. So flying for me is not possible with my wings, of course, of course. If I were in your place, you see, in this part to give advice, if I were you, if I were in your place, I would take the job. Am I in your place? No. Is the decision to make for me? No, it's not. Am I the one who wants to take the job or reject the job? No. But I'm just describing it. It's my fantasy. In my mind, there is a scenario, there is a parallel scenario that I am the one applying for this job and I am the one to make the choice to have this job, to take this job, or to refuse it. So, in that parallel imaginary situation, if I won the lottery, I would buy a private island. So, this can be this one and this one because it's very, very impossible to happen to want to win a lottery actually. And also, it is hypothetical because probably imagine I haven't even enrolled for a lottery. So how can I? How there is a how? I mean, there's no chance for me to get. If she met a famous celebrity, she would faint. You see, it's very unlikely to happen. If I had more time, I would learn a new language. But learning a new language doesn't necessarily require a lot of time. It requires energy. It requires wisdom. I mean, you should be wise, and you should know the tricks, and you should know where to put your energy, where to put the effort, and where not, and what are the things that really matter. I mean, you have to have a mindset for learning English, for learning language, any language. It's not just English. Okay? So it doesn't necessarily require a lot of time. So you see, with these examples, you have a better understanding of what is conditional type 2. So I highly recommend you to provide your own kind of examples. Try to make as many examples as you can. Try to combine these conditional with the previous two other types and try to make sense and understand the differences and try to make them practical for yourself to use them in your daily English speakings. Okay, the more you make sense of them, the more and the better you can use them in your daily conversations, and the more you use them in your daily English. I mean, the more comfortable and confident you will get through that. For making it negative, you see, this is simple past. So all the thing, all the notes that you knew about making a simple past verb negative, it holds in here. So if it didn't work so much for making that negative, I used the auxiliary verb did, and I added not to did, so it makes sense, doesn't it? What would you do if you won $1 million? Again, in the previous two videos, I already told you that for conditionals, because the type of the type of the grammar is like that, what will happen if that happens? What if that happens? So this makes the question of this type a little bit different. And the more you practice it, the more you understand it and the better you can make your own creative questions out of it. So this was conditional type 2, and I hope now that I provided all this information and all this detail for you on it, you have a clearer understanding of conditional type 2 and the differences it have with the previous two other types. In the next video, we are going to cover everything about conditional type 3. So if you are a student who has kind of problem with these two and doesn't understand exactly what is the difference between type 2 and type 3 and you find it a little bit tricky and difficult, so next video is definitely for you. So let's move on to the next video and see what is conditional type 3. Bye!